Oh, man. Oh. Are we live? Don't start with that now. I just tested this before I started streaming. It wasn't doing nothing. Oh my gosh. I think we got it going. I think right here and there it does something, but if anything, it's better than it was last time. 100%. Let me move this over here so I can actually see the game. Hello people, Seku-Senpai here. Man, my camera's big as heck on the screen. I didn't realize that. Today we're playing some Witch on the Holy Night. Finally, after a whole week of figuring out what the heck was up with my connection problem. I think here and there it does something. Maybe I gotta change my frame rate. But regardless, yo, it's looking way better. It's not it's not spazzing out. Yo, last week I started that thing was like 3 times and it worked. Then I figured out all I had to do was literally just change my USB cable. Well, not USB cable, my USB port, and it connected. So fingers crossed it's smooth like this for the rest of the stream. It's looking pretty good. I think it sounds good. Y'all let me know if you're hearing everything. I think y'all hearing everything. I didn't change anything. I tried not to change anything in my settings. Or more like I tried to reset my settings to what I had it to when I was testing out stuff. But I think everything should be good. So I did play this before, like 3-4 years ago, but I never finished it. I only got to chapter 5, I think. I remember there was like a battle, I think, and that's when I stopped playing. Because I got busy. Then now it's also my old PC, and if anyone knows my old PC, my old computer, it sucked. So, yeah, that computer was so garbage. So, I couldn't really continue streaming with that. So here I'm starting from the beginning because I don't remember anything except for from where I left off, which I know there was a battle then. Stop flickering. Just like once in a while, which I think there's something else I could change. But hey, I'll take this for now. It's better than it was before. Maybe I'll change my frame rate or raise up my bit rate. I'm afraid to even touch my settings. Afraid to touch it to make it smoother. Maybe I could also push that up a little bit. Okay, but anyways, you know what? Let's get this rolling. I'm excited to finally play this. I'm excited to finally read this. Start a new one. Start a new journey. Let me just double check. I get like so get so nervous. I get so nervous when things are not working. Okay, everything's good though. Y'all let me know if it happens to glitch out. I don't know how many people will show up because I know the past couple of times it was acting up. So it was like, hey, is it really going to work this time? Is it really? Well, so far it seems like it's going well. But anyways, let's get this going. It was a winter's day 8 years ago. The solemn morning when she understood the value of life for the very first time. Oh, this is no music right now. Okay. Her home was nestled on the side of a mountain. Around it was nothing but inhospitable wilderness. She had no neighbors or childhood friends to speak of. Things like traveling to school or playing outside were more troublesome than they ought to be. Indeed, with its pure water and bright stars, it was a place rich with memories, both frustrating and halcyon? I don't even know my controls. Okay, it was only during summer though. Winters in those mountains were extremely frigid. Each morning, oh, I'm kind of blocking the text. My bad, y'all. My bad. Let me go on the bottom for now. Mornings in these winters in those mountains were extremely frigid. Each morning more severe than the last. Her father would drive her to the train station. After waiting 10 minutes for the engine to warm up and iced over windows to clear. I'm expecting to be voice acting. Forget this voice acting. Scared that got me. Mine's starting up the car for me. Yeah. Let me lower my volume a little bit. Hopefully their voices aren't too loud. Her father would savor her morning coffee, leaving her to venture outside and rev the engine. Out the front door she would go, traversing the garden with icy breath until she reached that old sedan. As always, she inserted the key, then started the ignition. The engine rumbled to life. Just as she proudly finished that humble task she'd done so many times before. And I remember doing that too. Waking up, my mother would be like, "Hey, warm up the car." I got you. I felt like I was like a mechanic. I'm starting the car. A shrill scream pierced the air. She knew even though it wasn't human, that feeble sound was a cry of agony. What the heck? A few moments passed. Her father came out and opened the hood of the car. Creaking fan. Oh! That's dark. I forgot. This starts off dark with R.I.P. the cat. A monstrous looking engine. And something that didn't belong. There was a cat, a mother by the looks of it, and her 2 kittens. The 3 cats had been huddled for warmth in the engine's compartment. The mother cat was missing its head. One of the kittens had been mangled beyond recognition by the engine belts and surely died instantly. The other kittens, its face half covered in blood, panted faintly. Hopefully my thumbnail for this is also set for this. I know I'm kind of yapping, but I don't know why YouTube kept changing my thumbnail as if it wasn't, I don't know, it was weird. But it desperately clung to its mother, or rather the chunk of meat that had been its mother, with the last bit of life it could muster. Oh man. Yeah, poor things indeed. Her father lamented their plight. The previous night had been especially cold. After he had returned home yesterday, the cats must have snuck under the hood, drawn by the warmth of the engine. They had slept next to the engine, and because it was warm. Man. They're just trying to get warm in this cold, frigid weather. Cars in the 80s were not sealed particularly well, so that, this takes place in what, the 90s, I think, late 90s? Cars in the 80s were not sealed particularly well, so this was not unheard of. Yeah, okay, nice reassuring, the granddaughter wasn't her fault. She could only make out a small tuft of the kitten's gray fur. The rest of it was caked in the blood of its mother and brother. Why do they have to use the word caked? I can see its skull. The fragile life of a spectacled kitten. Of a speckled kitten. Trembling and possibly blind, it continued to nuzzle against its dead mother's chest. She took the kitten into her arms, and she ran deep into the mountains to her grandfather's house. Oh, okay, this is her father, okay. My mistake. Was it because she was overcome with regret, or was it the shock of grief? Years later, she still wasn't sure. Fighting back the welling tears, she burst into her grandfather's workshop. Her grandfather was a magician who could do anything. She had never seen magic. She knew that magic was a fancy straight out of fairy tales. But so was her grandfather. She had to find him. He was the only one who could help. Alter this kitten's fate. Not heal the kitten, but alter its fate. The cave-dwelling magician said indifferent. Okay, nice little place you got there. This kitten needs our help, she pleaded. Whether it was a simple task, or a Herculean labor, her grandfather would not say. He simply granted the girl's childish wish, like a machine. Ooh. Oh no, the girl said. Before she knew it, however, she was holding a tiny corpse in her hands. Its fur was cold. The warmth of life that had left its body. And tears she had fought so hard to hold back poured from her eyes. Regret spread through her chest like an endless gray sky. Is that really what happened? I feel like he was trying. Maybe he really was late. Maybe he just ended its suffering without telling her. Her mind struggled to come to grips with what had just occurred. The last 10 minutes were a total blank. Hey, what up, Janice? Yes, we are Mihoyo. Who she met, what she had known. It was all that as if it had never happened. The only thing she was sure of was that life, once extinguished, can never return.
そこに誰か。
That day, it was her mistake that gave birth to me. Indeed.com. Whatever occurred that day, it was a day of nostalgia and longing. Gave birth to me. This is the fairy tale of 8 years ago. The day they first met, that no magic can ever bring back. Oh, so it created a new life? It's weird being on the bottom corner. I don't like being on the bottom corner. Okay. Arrogant, greedy. Okay, I guess we're going 8 years back. Now I guess we're in the present. Arrogant, greedy, and able to destroy. I must be a wolf. Okay. I don't have regrets. There's no whole looking back. If my pride has left you behind, my sincere condolences. But at any rate, oh, I'm like blocking the title. I can't find any corner to go in. Okay, we're going the left corner. Bottom left one. Okay, strange one. Okay. I suppose my fate to die at the hands of a little Red Riding Hood. But at any rate, I suppose it's my fate to die at the hands of a little Red Riding Hood. Yeah, but she's the wolf. But it's not. But Red Riding Hood doesn't kill the wolf. It's the huntsman. Isn't the guy with the axe? I don't know. Huntsman? Huntsman. Okay. It was a quiet morning. From her bed, she could see the sky was ashen, watercolor gray. The thermometer displayed 43 degrees Fahrenheit, rather unforgiving temperature for November. Henry, hey, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Her stomach woke up with a growl, pathetically reminding her that she had completely missed her breakfast. Red Riding Hood. Ooh! Oh snap! Okay, Jan, hold up. You might be onto something. You might be onto something there. Almost forgot about Red Riding Hood's fate. Fate, strange fake, man. But lazy mornings were today, like today's were for her a blessing. That's interesting because, well, I won't say it because I know some stuff from the light novel of Fate, strange fake, so I don't want to spoil anything. Siege, welcome. It was already well past 8 in the morning. Yeah, it's almost noon. On any ordinary weekday, tardiness would be unavoidable, but today, classes were canceled in commemoration of the school's anniversary. Okay. Gratefully, she had every intention of taking it easy for the first time in ages. Man, that feeling when you wake up and you have to go to school? Hey, adult life. But I have to go to work, so. Outside the window was a gloomy gray, and reminded her more of evening than morning. It wasn't a pleasant morning by any stretch of the imagination. But having been up all night, just until 3 hours ago, she could care less about the weather outside. Y'all let me know how the sound is for y'all. I think it's just low right now since it's only raindrops, but all she cared about was more sleep. As long as she could spend her morning in bed, what was happening outside was of no concern to her. Originally, the Red Riding Hood in Masterful was introduced in Fate Hollow. Really? Okay, interesting. There's probably a connection of sorts that might pop up in this. I don't know. I never finished this, so I don't know. She shut the curtains, then closed her eyes and tried to let sleep reclaim her. I swear, every time they start talking, it's always whenever I'm not paying attention. Okay, blissful slumber found her soon enough. Okay, sounds good. Okay. Her consciousness faded. However, her simple request would be mercilessly refused. Man, I know. You just want to stay in bed, but then the phone ringing or something. That's me with these dogs across the street. A faint but shrill sound lingered in her ears. It was the unmistakable ring of a telephone. Much to her chagrin, her eyes popped open out of habit. The telephone was situated in the foyer on the first floor. Answering it meant walking down a 30-foot corridor and going down a flight of stairs. Yippee. In her sleep-deprived state, that distance seemed somewhere between incredibly far and astronomically far. The phone's incessant ringing continued. She knew the caller would eventually give up if she ignored it, but she chose to fight the urge. Ooh, nice way to show that progression. Alice said, hey, you're getting up. Unless Alice isn't here, she thought her housemate would get it, but she soon had to abandon all hope. The realization struck that her housemate did not have the day off from school, and was likely in class at her prestigious little hilltop academy. Oh, they go to two different schools, okay. The caller proved incredibly persistent. That persistence made the volume of the ringing seem even louder. She was left with no choice but to get up, throw a top on, and leave the room. Yeah, you gotta get up from bed. That's a nice little bedroom she got, though. Okay, got a little table. She rubbed her hands together to warm her numb fingers. The mansion's heating system had inadequate, to say the least, which meant the winter was the very worst of uninvited guests. Never more so than on a dreary morning as this, when one did not need to use a thermometer to know how cold it was. The mansion sat on the mountain and was surrounded by a dense forest. Winter always arrived here first, before moving to the nearby towns. The robotic ring of the telephone reverberated throughout the long hallway. The mansion's furnishings had been so perfectly maintained that it made the place feel unlived. I mean, it's a big mansion. It seemed lonelier than it did splendid. Coupled with the dreary morning, it could have passed for a haunted house.
幽霊屋敷そのものだけど、だいたい2人で住むには広すぎるのよ、この家は。
She counted more than 30 rings since it first began. The caller either had a lot of free time on their hands or had a good understanding of the house's circumstances. For real, this rings forever. She had a strong hunch that it was the latter. The window above looked out onto a gloomy sky. She had hastened to catch the unrelenting ring in the act as soon as possible. So she had a feeling that her happy morning might come to a close the moment she caught it. And them old phones too, the rotary phones. It was here that the series of incidents began. Apologies for the lack of romance to this tale. For whether it be objectively true or merely supposition, it is always from gloomy to an unassuming beginnings that extraordinary events are set in motion. Ooh. Hey, y'all. This is where it starts. Not with that flashback, though, surprisingly. Hey, let's get this melody going. Woo! I'm a piano! Okay, a little introduction. Let's go. I'm waiting for the piano melody to come in. Oh, okay, strings instead. Kinoko Nasu, okay. Bam, bam, dun, dun. That's a nice little theme. I was calling pizza delivery breakfast. Man, they were relentless. It's funny because a while ago, before I even knew about Witch on Holy Night, I actually had in high school, I had like my phone background was literally Alco with umbrella. I think they're going to show in a bit. Alco with an umbrella, and I was like, hey, I just like the art in this. I didn't even know it was connected to that, but funny how this comes full circle with this moment now. I'm playing it, or reading it, I should say. Okay. Keita Haga, okay. I recognize that name. It's probably a interesting journey, though. I'm excited. Excited to read through this. Get back to my VN era. Opening credits be like, you know. Okay, shout out to the graphics. People working on the graphics. Okay, construction going on in the city. Oh, there might be some important stuff they're showing right here, though. Background-wise. Or probably not. Oh, I'm blocking this person's name. Hey, shout out to them, too. Oh, man. Because that was Koyama. Yeah, yo, Koyama. Yep, he has that. You can tell from I think from their style and stuff. Definitely, you know, the hair, the silhouettes, kind of. That same kind of structure in a way. Oh yeah, it's this image I had on my phone. Hey, it's a sunny day. It looks like the sun's popping out. A little bit. Hey, witch on the holy night. So it's like a little bright opening and whatnot. You know, Natsu stuff, it'd be like happy, then instantly it gets dark. In fact, the beginning of this was dark with the cat. That was messed up. Yeah, the eyes too. Okay, here we go. The rain has subsided somewhat by the time she reached the school gate. Sunlight seemed to be playing peekaboo behind the clouds in the distance. It looked like it might be cleared up by the morning afternoon.
と言っても、私には関係のない話だけど。
The weather reflected her luck. Bad. On top of being forced out of the house at such an early hour, she had to suffer through the winter rain. She says, what, 8 a.m.? Man, I can't imagine waking up at 8 a.m. anymore. I have no idea how I did that with school. In fact, with school, we had to get up at school started like, what, 7 o'clock? I was waking up at 6? Maybe 5:30? Man, what kind of... That's weird when I think back on it, but then again, I guess some jobs start at 7 and whatnot, so... I'm getting a bad feeling about this. The sinking feeling she had only grew as she passed through the entrance and headed inside. Okay. She didn't encounter any other students along the way. Nor did she see anyone taking part in club activities either. Yeah, ain't no one going to school on a day off. The reception desk at the faculty room simply read, "Faculty closed." The school had given all students a day off, except those explicitly summoned like her. A fact that irked her more and more as the minutes passed. Yeah, it's like, what the heck? Exactly, early as heck in the day. She opened the door to the faculty room and headed forward the desk she had visited a number of times before. And they want us to learn? I have to process information when I'm just waking up? Like, jeez. The man at the desk wore a plain shirt and suit that were nonetheless neatly pressed. Slim-framed glasses adored his face, giving off an amicable yet cunning air. The mild-mannered image of this mid-20s man presented clashed with a cigarette he smoked. He didn't appear to have noticed her yet.
Yamashiro-sensei.
Oh, she had to call him out. She closed the door with a bang. Showing no response to the sudden sound, Mr. Yamashiro lifted his head.
Yeah, ohayo, Aozaki-kun. Youken wa kiite iru kana?
Can we trust him?
はい。1時間前に
My
自宅で
skeptical side,
事前
man.
に何の相談もなく。
Having graduated from this high school himself, Mr. Yamashiro was not much older than the rest of the students. Okay, a younger teacher. For that reason, his students preferred him over their other teachers. He always had something interesting to talk about, and kept conversations casual. In fact, he seemed more like an older student than a teacher, but she unfortunately didn't share her fellow students' fondness for him. She was of the opinion that teachers should come across more austere, like an iron fist that could inspire both love and hate in equal measure. I kind of agree, to an extent. Not a buddy to joke or pal around with. I think it's a matter of just balancing it both. He was the exact opposite of how she felt a teacher should be. It was only natural that her manner towards him should be forced and unfriendly. Makes sense, makes sense. If anything, I think it's a matter of just making sure they have boundaries, you know? Not to be too friendly. Hey, we're not friends now. Like, we're teacher and student. Not that she'd ever been wired to make friendly small talk.
はあ、今日もご機嫌斜めみたいだね、君は。
それは先生の気のせいです。今日だけ特別という。
Oh, my bad. Thought she was talking. Okay, the matter of fact answered perfectly. I think it was an auto button, but I don't want to mess up my controls. Okay, the matter of fact answer perfectly matched the displeasure displayed on her face. Her bad mood from having to get up early and the tiredness from staying up late must have collectively made her look positively adversarial.
そうならいいんだけどね。彼にはそう辛く当たらないでくれよ。僕らじゃ正直どう扱っていいかわからないところもあるし。
先生、その件ですけど、私まだ詳しい話を聞かされていないのです。
So he summoned her to school and didn't even tell her why? That's messed up. That had me salty. Then I'm getting up early as heck on the day I'm off in this cold, rainy, muggy weather. Okay, as Mr. Yamashiro met her piercing eyes, he finally understood the reason behind her tone and slowly put out his cigarette.
電話じゃあなんて聞いたの？
Oh, someone else was speaking to her.
転入生の紹介をするとだけです。
Oh, they did tell her. Okay.
理由も脈絡もない説明でした。
Who is they? Why are they not here? One of Mr. Yamashiro's eyes stood up, impressed with the brevity of her answer. He could see that she was angry, not because she had been called to the school on her day off, but because she hadn't been told why she was here. Okay. Makes sense. Mr. Yamashiro chuckled sympathetically.
先生、これが笑い話ならそろそろ帰っていいでしょうか。
いや、ごめん。謝るよ。
Yeah, that's messed up. He was laughing.
冗談じゃなくて真面目な話なんだ。
本当に転入生の問題で。
訳ありというか難しいというか。
Difficult circumstances.
彼、宗十郎くんと言うんだけど、
the homie.
ちょっといろいろとずれていてね。僕らが案内してあげるより同世代の君の方が適任だと思ったんだ。
Peculiar. Elaborate on that, man. She threw him an unamused look. It was negligent of them to be pushing teaching duties on her, but she did wonder how exactly this transferred student was peculiar. Exactly. Maybe he meant the student had behavioral problems or was difficult somehow. But peculiar, she didn't have the slightest idea what that meant.
ずれてるなんてそう使わない表現だけど。
Yeah, exactly. She had her doubts, but swept them aside for now. I'd ask though. I mean, yeah, what's so peculiar? Sojiro, he's the homie. He's the best. Okay, this wasn't the time to get distracted by more concerns. The fact remained that this conversation was all the peculiar she could handle, and she needed more information. She was already beginning to fantasize about saying no and curling up in her warm bed at night.
一つ質問があります。
何？あ、学年は君と同じ2年生だよ。
Okay, so
性格
second year
は
like
落ち着きがあ
her.
って人の話をよく聞くタイプ。裏を返せば覇気がないとも取れるけど、それならそれで付き合いやすいだろ。
Not the most energetic individual, but that just means he'll be easier to get along with, right? Maybe.
青崎くんとはクラスは違うけど、きっと仲良くな。
そういったことは本人から直接聞きますし、測ります。
Exactly. I hate when people do that too. When they say, "Hey, I'm pretty sure we get along." Huh? I'll be the judge of that.
そうではなく、なぜ私なんでしょうか。
Yeah, why her? Yeah, exactly. Though her tone was still stern, it was clear that she was still willing to cooperate. She had decided to put her feelings of dissatisfaction aside and focus on the task at hand. Forcing herself to act empathetic in spite of her self-absorbed nature was something she was used to. Paradoxically, this force of will was also the reason teachers put so much faith in her. To a point, at times the strength that strength shattered expectation. And those occasions they were left with no choice but to treat it like a natural disaster and weather it until it passed. That's how Mr. Yamashiro had come to deal with her over the past year. Hey, what up? Yeah, we got voice acting in this
もう
one.
一度だけ聞きます。 山城先生。
Oh, that's good. If only. I mean, to be fair on Art Knights, that would be a big freaking game file if they added voice acting to the story. Like, golly.
なぜ私なんでしょうか。
That file would be, that'd be 100 gigabytes maybe. Most Type Moon visual novels actually, they do. Okay, other ones do have voice acting. Okay, that's good to know. Actually, Tsukihime did have voice acting too, if I recollect. Now that I think about it, I should say. Pressured by a question without a clear yes or no answer, he answered.
それはね。
But I would want voice acting Art Knights though, even if it would be a big file. I would want that still. Well, about that.
別に青崎くんが先生方に敬遠されているのと同じぐらい信頼されていて、学校のためなら教師も生徒も一緒くたに切って捨てる鉄の生徒会長だからじゃないよ。
Oh, she's in student council. Is she council president?
それ以外にこんな呼びつけを受ける理由はないと思いますけど。
Okay, okay. Rise did nothing to hide her disbelief as she glared at him. Strength far beyond that of an ordinary 17-year-old girl, coupled with the youthful beauty of one. Mr. Yamashiro let slip a genuine smile, admiring the miraculous balance of qualities.
いや、責務だけでいいなら僕がやってるさ。この人選に関しちゃ、教師や生徒会長といった役職も関係ないよ。
What?
なんていうか、こんな頼みを損得抜きで聞いてくれるのは君だけだと思ってね。適任ですからと強く推薦したわけ。
Mr. Yamashiro, first of all, screw you. Second of all, leave Akko, man. This guy is annoying. In other words, he knew she wouldn't say no. He knows her
山城
well.
先生。
Yeah, he's taking it. That's messed up.
うわ、怖っ。もう睨まない睨まない。言ったろ。僕にはともかく。
Oh yeah, in all languages. Yeah. In fact, yeah, if it was all languages too. Woo!
とまあ、納得してくれたならすぐに移動しよう。もうずいぶん待たせてしまっているからね。
Forget about 100 gigabytes. Yeah, that's 300. Yeah, I'm about to say that's 300 gigabytes. Man, that's a whole PC. You know, a whole computer for that.
それと雨の中ご苦労様。
Oh man.
帰りはもちろん車で送るよ。
But they have to give you a ride home. Oh, okay, that's nice. Mr. Yamashiro stood up gracefully. I'm good, thanks, she replied, before turning and walking out of the faculty room. Though I will say, with Art Knights, I do wish that at some points, like, if it was like a big scene, if they had like some like voice lines, I feel that'd be kind of a bit more impactful, but it is what it is. He had been waiting for about an hour. While he did, the rain shower lightened to a... So they waited, so they had him, so they had Sojiro show up to school. Then they had him wait for an hour for this other student to show up to possibly give him a tour? Man, his patience. His mind wandered as he listened to the sound of the raindrops. The room was filled with neatly arranged rectangular tables. He was the only one there. Quite some time had passed since he had been brought to this room and asked to wait. Even the best behaved students might have grown dissatisfied or anxious with the situation by now, but the boy stuck to his spot like a scarecrow. He was chilled to the bone. It was the end of November, and the low temperature in the morning had marked the start of winter. Okay, so it's the end of November. Okay. I knew it was like fall season. Okay, but it's, yeah, start of November, start of winter. The room was not much warmer. The heater hadn't been turned on. Either he'd missed the teacher telling him to turn it on, or he'd never... So he's in this cold room for an hour! Oh, they're making it worse for him. He breathed lightly on his freezing fingers as he aimlessly surveyed his surroundings. This dreary place was apparently a meeting room. And the other students might have considered it a wonderful place to meet, but to him it was a drab and overly spacious. It was a lifeless place that reminded him of an arid cave. Stuck in this cold room with absolutely nothing to do, his mind turned to what they wanted to discuss. Unable to come up with a solid answer, he returned his attention to the sound of the rain. The rain hardly resembled the rain in the mountains. Okay, I was wondering where they're going with that sentence. Rain in the mountains, though. though he could still recognize it barely. Its smell and sound were harsher, but at the end of the day, rain was still rain. So even this world, alien as it was, could have something in common with the mountains. Oh, am I blocking that up? I can't even read this. Okay, we're going to the other corner. Back to this. I've been into every corner of the screen throughout the stream. Okay, that trivial detail perked him up a little. He liked how the town looked soaked in rain. Naturally, he preferred sunny weather, but he liked rain in its own way. The fog from the rain had soaked up the scent of the soil and reminded him of home. It was at times like these that he was able to numb the anxiety the city gave him. Okay, so he's the country mouse. But then he let out a discouraged sigh. How pathetic. He'd already been here 2 weeks and thought of his hometown, and thoughts of his hometown still made him sad. Perhaps feeling that he was being unfair to his new life, he composed himself and continued to wait patiently. The question is, why did he move to the city, or why did he go to the city, or move over from his mountains in the hometown? Listen. As if having a passion for distractions, his attention returned to the sound of the rain once more. Waiting like this didn't seem to be particularly hard for him. He quietly endured the numbing cold and the hour alone with calm, deep breaths. As the saying goes, good things come to those who wait. A strong point of his or not, he was astonishingly patient. It was certainly helping him out in this moment. Ooh, the transition? Or not even transition, but that visual right there. Showing what he's looking at? I like that. Oh, here goes Alko. She, on the other hand, was livid. The profile of the transfer student had been explained to her on her way to the meeting room. She was told he had lived his whole life up in the mountains without any electricity. That meant more than half of civilized society would have been an utter mystery to him.
なんて絶望的な断絶。戦後どころか戦前の話じゃない。ロビンソンにも程がある。
Robinson Crusoe. Is that a reference to that one book? Swiss Family Robinson? Was that the name of the book? That family that got stranded on the island, I think? I could be wrong. Okay. She had every right to be angry. Are there choices and stuff in this? I don't think this one has choices from what I recollect. I think this one is a pretty linear one. The village had apparently remained isolated in the mountains for many years. I know that Tsukihime has some choices in there. Likewise, Fate as well. You get some bad ends. But, okay, contact with villages and foothills of the mountains only occurred once a month or so, which was unfathomable in modern Japan. But I'm pretty sure this one doesn't have choices, I think. I could be wrong, but... Although expressways in Japan rail, the old national railways now spanned the country like arteries. It wasn't entirely impossible for mountains villages like his to exist. But she couldn't imagine how someone born to such circumstances would think or live.
電気がないって、村に行き渡っていないだけで公衆電話ぐらいはあったんですよね。
Yeah, does he know what a phone is?
なかったそうだよ。
Oh.
こっちに暮らすようになって、
Okay, never mind then.
まず驚いたのが電話だそうだし。電話って便利ですね。なんて真顔で言われてね。そういえばそうだなぁと再確認させられたぐらいだよ。
I mean, so I heard about telephones for the first time. They would say, hey, that's useful. It's like telling someone about the modern smartphone now. Like, it is based on a book. Okay, it is based on, okay, yes, it's been, okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a book. She shot a sidelong glare his way as he laughed. It seemed that the naivety of the country boy had cheered up Mr. Yamashiro a bit.
駐在もいないってことか。うちも実家は山奥ですから、電気が通っていないのはありえないとは言いませんけど。そいつ、
so she kind of does relate a bit.
学校も知らないんですか?
He doesn't even know what school is?
どんなものかは知っていたそうだけど、実際来るのは今日が初めてらしい。 それで緊張していたのかな。
This is Sojo don't know squat.
ああいうのも野生
Man.
児っていうのかな。狼に育てられた狼少年みたいな。いや、探検隊の話だね。
You think you're funny, dude. Nah, you got me chuckling. So let me. Oh no! What did I press?
分かってるわよ。愛想が悪いってのは。でも笑顔なんて意識して作るものじゃないんだし。
Don't make me have to go back. What did I skip? I skipped all that dialogue. Press it down. F. Can I rewind? What's the controls? I'm afraid to press anything. Oh, here we go. Settings. Okay, save. Let me go back. Let's see. Settings. There has to be a rewind button. Let's see. Skip. Control description. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Rewind. Okay. So L2. My bad, y'all. My bad. My bad. Dang. What did I press? Okay, I must have pressed Z. Okay, let me make sure I don't press that. Okay, so let me rewind. Back. Ah, here we go. Go back. Okay, go back again. Probably didn't have police officers. Okay, good. Okay, good. I'm glad there's a rewind thing. I was so mad.
どんなものかは知っていたそうだけど、実際。
Okay, we got this. Okay, we got all this. Okay, I didn't go too far forward.
怖いな、青崎くん。
This is new. Okay.
冗談だって。そう、睨まないでくれ。
Oh man.
大丈夫。話してみた感じ、おとなしい子だったから。なんていうか、言葉の通じない小動物みたいな感じ。
Okay. He's almost like, okay, don't worry, I got a feeling from talking, he's a nice kid. He was almost like, I don't know, what a cute because I know with most VNs, sometimes you have to like go exit out, then fast forward. Like, I was afraid of that. Remember, Robinson Crew was end up on an island to befriend. Okay, depending on the adaptation is different. Okay, interesting. Gotta look that up.
山城先生、その例え、気休めになってませんから。
As she gave her blunt reply, she tried to simulate in her mind what life without electricity would be like, but the thought of it took her sour mood from bad to worse. Okay, so right here is pause if I need to pause. Okay. That's the one button I did remember. I was like, okay, I know how to pause at least. Okay, after all, it was a world she had never known. She could understand why the teacher had given up. She too wanted to give up and return to her warm bed, but her good-for-nothing pride was holding her hostage. Okay, not only did the teacher believe she was up to the task, but she also believed she could do it. It wasn't that easy to go back on her word, no matter how bad things looked after the fact. She walked along the hallway, the rain pattering in the background. The meeting room was already in sight. With a forward brow, she fixed her long hair in anticipation of meeting the unknown stranger within. Her elegant strides were like those of a confident general going into battle.
いや、青崎くん、君を信頼してる僕だけど、念のため確認しておくよ。なんていうか、優しくね。できれば笑顔とか作れないかな。
Yeah, she's not going to smile. I'm looking. Alko, you're going to smile? Like.
作り笑いは苦手です。一応努力しているつもりですが。
Same. I can't fake smile either. I'm bad at it. I can't help. The emotions I show on my face is how I feel. I can't fake feeling a certain way, you know.
それはよかった。いやー、本当よかった。
I do my best, yeah.
青崎くんにも苦手なものってあったんだね。
Oh man. Some gacha games they just be yapping. Okay, Mr. Yamashiro's shoulders slumped the second day they reached the meeting room. As he put his hand to the door, his eyes seemed to say to her, "Be nice, please." This only made her more irritated.
分かってるわよ。愛想が悪いってのは。でも笑顔なんて意識して作るものじゃないんだし。
You can't just ask someone to switch up. What is this? Oh, okay.
大体そういうインスタントな人付き合いなら飛び丸の方が向いてるって。
Tobimaru. She sighed about her social shortcomings, but it occurred to her that being called into a school a day off while sleep deprived wasn't anything to smile about anything. Favorite VN? I was, hands down, I always say Umineko is my favorite VN, man. That was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Like, I don't want to seem like I'm glazing the storyline or giving it too much props, but it is really top tier. It's very long, but it's worth it. She also thought I mean, I haven't read too many VNs, but that one's definitely my favorite that I have read so far. That was great. She also thought the person responsible for this mess would be better off attending elementary school. Because what, his first time at school? I mean, it looks like he could talk and stuff, so... but yeah, what are some of y'all favorite VNs? It might not be his fault, but neither was her duty or obligation to do the teacher's work for them. At the very least, they could have used their brains and organized all this on a normal school day. Another complaint she wanted to voice later.
いや、というか敵。なんであろうと敵。悪いけど、情状酌量以前に敵。
Dang, she hates him. She's like, dang, you made me come out to school. It's your fault. She had to blame someone.
間が悪いのはお互い様っていうか、本当なんでよりにもよってこんな忙しい時に。
You're busy sleeping. Oh man. Yeah, it's definitely a great read. It's a great read. Very long, a little challenging, but it once it all comes together, you're like, it's great. It's just great. Her pounding headache from a lack of sleep had boosted her aggression from 10% by 10%. No matter how harmless the guy on the other side of the door may be, anyone who disturbed her sleep was the enemy. But I would say, do not watch the anime for Umineko. They did the anime adaptation of Umineko, and it's terrible. They like rushed through like the first 4 chapters, and honestly, I think each chapter could be a season in itself. Honestly, and they did that in like, for instance, they did like chapter 1 in 4 episodes, which that'd be like the equivalent of. I'm trying to think of a good example, but Arc Knights, for instance, it's like if they did chapter 1 of Arc Knights in 1 episode. That's basically kind of like the similar equivalence. Like, rushed it to hell. And just as she was reaching peak annoyance, Mr. Yamashiro opened the door to the meeting room. Fault milestone, which is like this one you're playing that doesn't have to. Okay, fault milestone. I haven't heard of that. I gotta check that out. Is it like rom-com, fantasy? What genre is it? The room slowly slid into view. She didn't care for formalities, just looked straight ahead and stormed into the room, and found herself face to face with a most unusual opponent. Naomi, before we go on, let's see from another perspective. Turning back the clock just a little. Oh yeah, it's true. From his perspective, he's meeting someone new for the first time. He's in an unknown environment. You don't have to do anything. For some, these words are a priceless luxury. For others, they are unbearable torture. For the proactive girl, it was definitely the former, though she'd be too suspicious for the motives of anyone giving her such a gift to accept it. For the passive boy, it was definitely the latter, a bitter thorn that made him homesick, though at this very moment his mind was still distracted with the wait for his face to reveal any discontent. Yeah, okay. You never really play. I feel that. That's what kind of pushed me to actually do this, because I feel like I've seen other people play VNs, and I'm like, yo, let me play some VNs myself, because it's fun. It's a good. I don't know. It's a fun experience. He maintained perfect posture as he stared at the gray sky. He had already waited a whole hour, but figured they might have had their reasons for making them wait. Then again, I feel like if I'm going to read a VN, I feel like I'd rather do it stream-wise. I don't know. I haven't found myself reading a VN. Actually, no. I did read. The only VN I did read on my own was Higurashi, and that was really dark. So, as long as he had the sound of the rain to soothe him, he could keep on waiting.
でも、そろそろ9時を過ぎるのか。
Actually, I've read some.
どうなんだろう。
My bad, Soldier. I didn't know you were talking. I have like played some date sim-ish VNs. I don't know if I want to put date sims in the VN. I guess they're kind of in the VN category, but okay. He had been vaguely keeping track of the time he had listened to the rain. Due to the holiday, the school building was completely silent. Fault milestone is fantasy. Okay, interesting. Gotta add that to my. I gotta check it out. Add that to my list to check out then. Due to the holiday, the school building was completely silent, except for the patter of the rain on the window. The mood felt as damp as the air. Swords and magic, but this focus on fighting, mostly about drama. Okay, interesting. Katawa Shoujo, I never played it. I feel that. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I think I have that in my library too. I don't think I haven't played it yet though. I think I actually have. I have like so many VNs I added to my Steam library. I just haven't played them. So this is kind of like my start to try and like push myself to check out some of those other ones too. Oh, I'm finding out new controls as I'm just accidentally doing things. So if I wanted to, I could jump to the next scene. Okay. Huh. I gotta check the volume right here. Okay. Listen to voice recording. Okay. Okay, let me not click that, but okay. He heard the heavy clatter of footsteps approaching. I like this right here though. Okay, I gotta do that more. What does this do? Okay, I'm not gonna let me not press buttons. Okay, finally I thought they'd forgotten about me. You can hear two sets of footsteps, one heavier set belonging to an adult. He breathed a sigh of relief as the door slid open.
すまないね。随分とお待たせしちゃって。
The first person you saw was a man wearing glasses and an awkward smile. That's Mr. Yamashiro, the one who brought me here.
ってあれ？里中先生いないんですか？ひどいな。話し相手になってあげてと言ったのに。
Yeah, impulsive buy, and it just stays there collecting dust forever. So Mr. Satonaka, dang, he just left? Mr. Yamashiro scratched his head, looking increasingly apologetic. And then from behind him, with a tight-lipped expression that made it clear she didn't want to be there, the dark-haired girl with a determined look in her eyes appeared. Wait, what do you think? We haven't really gotten a profile of her yet. They've only showed, like, below her chin and her mouth. Oh, hey, the homie! Sojiro gulped. The sound of the rain in the window faded into nothingness. That's when he knew it was love at first sight. This is how it felt when time stood still. Oh! Hey, there we go. It was for free too. It just stayed there. She blinked quickly a few times as if taken aback. Why was anyone's guess? Yeah, why she blink a few times? Oh, Akko interested in him? The boy was everything she expected a naive country boy to look like. However, she felt something she couldn't understand. Yep, typical girl meets boy or boy meets girl. I know Natsu likes to do that a lot. Then again, that's not typical you see in a lot of VNs. His eyes widened, slightly as if taken aback. Hey, destructive zombies! Welcome, welcome. The reason was obvious. Putting his feelings into words was a different matter altogether, so we will never know exactly what he experienced in that moment. Oh, okay. Interesting. He's like, yo, we don't got girls in our village. I'm pretty sure they got girls in the village, but okay, that's when it hit him. He sensed he'd been touched by the hands of destiny. Oh.
紹介するよ。彼が転入生のしずき宗十郎くん。
Okay, Sojiro Shizuki.
こっちの彼女がしずきくんの案内役。うちの生徒会長で休日を押して新しい仲間の案内役を買って出てくれた青崎青子くんだ。
Okay. First encounter. His voice and the sound of the rain seemed distant. this is how they first met. Such was their start, for better or worse, like the ephemeral beauty of fireworks. Woo! Beautiful start, beautiful start. Or beautiful meeting, I should say. This is still the first chapter, right? It was commonly believed among the students that Aoko was always in a foul mood. But this gossip was 90% prejudice, as Aoko simply didn't have time to be irritated 24/7. The reality was, she simply did not want to explain herself all the time. You know, Aoko, I think this is why I like Aoko. I kind of relate to you, Aoko. I hate explaining things to people. I get lazy about that. And therefore, she seemed angry about something, obvious or not. This idle gossip did, however, lead to her earning the title of one of the school's 7 deadly threats. The remaining 10% of the gossip was right on the mark. Aoko herself had the feeling that her tendency to feel animosity towards harmless things was akin to what a chronic headache sufferer might experience. Today fell under that 10%. For today her anger was pure and her childish and selfish display was befitting of her actual age. I kind of want to push my capture card in a little bit, but I'm afraid that might stop everything, so I'll leave it for now. I'll push it in towards the end, maybe. The meeting room was dimly lit, awash in the colors of the rain. To reduce electricity costs, the school regulations forbid the use of lights during the day. Wow, this school is cheap. This was the setting the three of them found themselves in. I mean, if it's a weekend, that makes sense, but her first impression was that his calm demeanor reminded her of a field of flowers. Yeah, definitely romance setup, and then, you know, Nasu he'd be switching it up in a second. In spite of his perfect posture, his overall air felt plastic, tame even. Man, you got surgery on your neck, dude, or something? And though describing him as meek would be going far too far, at the very least, he was passive. Even through his uniform, she could see that he was thinner than average. His dark hair was unkempt, and he came across as a woolly, forgettable boy. If she had to look at him in a more positive light, she would describe him as a young man, more a young man than a boy. Oh. It was his calm demeanor that made him seem more mature. Was that the cause of Aoko's reasonless reaction? He seemed almost too at home in the meeting room, and she was left with the impression that it was her and the teacher, not this outsider, who were guests here. Sojiro got that aura. She felt an unidentified aggravation building within her, almost as if her right to be here was in question. Aoko felt herself raising her natural defenses.
信じられない。私、今わけもなく怒ってない。
You really do, though. She hated not understanding things, her own emotions in particular. It pained her less than you'd imagine for a perfectionist like her, but it still nagged her like a thorn on your side.
ほら、青崎くん、挨拶してあげなくちゃ。
Mr. Yamashiro's attempt to relieve the tension was equally irritating.
挨拶?
Yeah, she always mad. After casting a nasty glance at the teacher's direction, Aoko turned to face the boy. From an outsider's perspective, it might have looked like a stare down. That's true, they kind of just stared at each other. And in that instant, oh man, why did the mailman pop up? Now the dogs are barking across the street. Oh my gosh. They were quiet for the past hour. I don't think y'all hear them on the mic, I think, but the culmination of her emotional state hurtled toward the innocent boy and skewered him. Gosh, they're barking like crazy. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, they're still barking.
待たせたね、しずきくん。
Hearing his name, Sojiro came to his senses. His stunned gaze shook loose. He took a deep breath to clear his head. Chalking it up to nerves, Mr. Yamashiro broke out a smile and turned to the girl standing beside him.
紹介するよ。彼が転入生のしずき宗十郎くん。で、こっちの彼女がしずきくんの案内役。うちの生徒会長で休日を押して新しい仲間の案内役を買って出てくれた青崎青子くんだ。
青崎青子。Okay, you don't hear the dogs? Okay. Fortunate for you. Lucky y'all. Did they stop finally too? Oh, thank you. Jeez. Okay. That's what woke me up this morning. Them barking at nothing for half an hour. Having been introduced by Mr. Yamashiro, the girl took a step forward. Her eyes were merciless. If I press... see, I want to press up. Okay, if I do press this, that does get rid of that. Okay. If I wanted to check out the game CG. Okay. Her stare and unspoken threat to violently trample her opponent. Soju, on the other hand, managed to keep his composure despite the shock of how confrontational she appeared. Oh. He had never been greeted quite like this before, but supposed mistakenly that this was how people treated each other on the island in the city. The exchange must have looked quite dramatic to an onlooker. A girl ready to brawl. Yeah, high key, it's a weekend too. It's like, why not a school day? Jeez, they couldn't do it any other day? High key? An earnest country boy desperate to understand. It was a murderous limbo, especially for anyone in the room with them. Maybe they didn't want to overwhelm him, but I don't know. This is messed up. Like Mr. Yamashiro, for example. Or he had thought he made the right decision in choosing an honor student to help him out. He was in an inexplicable bad mood, and the tension in the air was undeniable. It was the moment that he realized his failure. His realization had come far too late. This guy, man. This guy, you were too late to figure out that it was a bad idea to bring a student on her day off to show another student around. Like, one false move, and this girl, for whom no problems was too large, would becoming a storm that would rock the very foundation of the school. Just as the almighty Joker card could either bring fortune or disaster, the sole teacher, who had been persistent at the time, would come to bear the blame for the scandal that ensued.
いけてる。二人とも気は合うようだね。
Sarcastic.
それじゃあ、僕はこの辺でいい
You
かな。
gonna leave? That's messed up. Mr. Yamashiro laughed nervously as he crept toward the door.
僕は職員室にいるから終わったら来るように。いいかい、青崎くん。なんていうか、生徒会長としての度量の広さをこの際僕に信じさせてほしいかな。
This guy, he rage baiting. Oh man. Mr. Yamashiro left, leaving the two in a locked eye state, one in which one set of eyes was doing all the glaring. All that remained in the room was an artless boy and an arm-crossed guarded girl. So, the two lingered in silence. They resembled shogi players agonizing over the first moves, though it was only Aoko who was reading so much into the situation. She decided to put her irritation aside for the time being. With no reason to feel revulsion for him in the first place, she sighed deeply and faced Sojiro.
まあいいわ。山城先生がヒルアンドンなのは今に始まったことじゃないし。それで、あなた名前は？
Her tone was nothing if not reproachful, though he had done nothing to offend her. But the boy failed to pick up on it. Incapable of such venom himself.
ああ、
Some
しずき
smile.
宗十郎かな。君は青崎さんだったね。
For whatever reason, he came across as happy in his response. He can't read the
さあいい
room.
わ。柄じゃないから。
Oh,
こっちは
man.
しずきくんでいい？
いいって何が？
だから呼び方。くんづけでいいかって聞いてるの。
Yo, these two. Like, huh? What do you mean, what do you mean? What do I mean, what do you mean?
何よ。おかしなこと言った？私。
いや、すごく。
The boy replied immediately as if it was a natural response, but quickly second-guessed himself.
いや、いいんだ。ごく一般的なんだろう。しずきくんで頼む。君は青崎でいいんだよな。
よろしく。
She followed her blunt reply with a swift turn away from him. While she was hardly thrilled at the prospect of the task at hand, it had been entrusted to her, and it was her personal policy to see it through to the end.
悪いけど、優しくしてあげる気はないから。時間も惜しいし、手早く行くわよ。
それは助かる。やっぱり時間は大切だ。
He's smooth. Alco's blunt rancor was lost on him once again. Humans tend to be overly conscious about being ignored, whatever form that takes. But despite being peeved at landing none of her attacks, Alco did her best to act professional and directed her guests into the hallway. There's no sunlight in the hallway, nor any sign of life. This is more like a prison than the cave that was the meeting room. As it dawned on Alco that the hallway matched her mood, she sighed once again.
まず聞いておくけど、山城先生から聞いたことは理解してる？
ああ、学校の仕組みについては分かった。
Okay.
この建物全部に同い年の人間がいるなんて、ちょっと想像できないけど。
Yeah, it's kind of new to him.
そう、よかったわね。
Alco rubbed her forehead. It's like when I started college, it was kind of weird, like seeing people from different ages. It's kind of the opposite because I'm so used to being in at least for public school, everyone's everyone's in your same grade level, around the same age. And then in college, I'm like, dang, there's like a 50-year-old person in my class. I wasn't threw me off, but hey, everyone's trying to get their education, right? This Sojiro kid had no idea what he was in for. Apparently, all he'd heard about school was that it was a place where a lot of people meet to study. Yeah. High school teachers imparted to students their knowledge of various fields of study while fostering discipline and creativity. But never did Alco imagine that she would have to explain the concept of school itself to someone. Yes, fundamentals were important, but this was absurd. She had serious doubts whether she could even handle classes, but Mr. Yamashiro insisted that things would work somehow. Sojiro had managed to pass the transfer exam, after all, barely.
私には関係ないけど。
Alco grumbled mentally as she walked down the hallway. She consoled herself with the fact that today would be the only day she'd spend with this boy at a time. Or at least she tried to keep it that way. Well, Alco, there's like 15 chapters of this, I think, so...
Aozaki.
He asked, calmly trying to get her attention.
何？
こっちも一つ聞いていいかな。
Yeah,
だ
what's
から
up?
何？
俺の気のせいだと思うんだが、君はまるで何かを睨んでいるように見える。やはり今朝は悪いものでも。
Sojiro, man, please, man, please. Her gaze revealed earnest concern, as if asking her she'd remember to eat breakfast. The thing, he's being genuine too, so I can't get mad. He's being so genuine. He's being so genuine. Oh, poor Sojiro, man. Poor Sojiro, man. So a wholesome guy, man. I think he's just a country bumpkin. From what they said, he's been in the mountains his whole life, and for some reason now he's being brought to the city. So he just doesn't know. But he didn't even know what a telephone was. So it was like another hammer to her head. It was true that Alco had been glaring at Sojiro the entire time, glaring hot red hot daggers, in fact. Not just him, but the universe. Even on her best days, her roommate used to remark,
青子の視線は普通の人には厳しいわ。もう少し多くのことに寛大になるべきね。
she'd been warned that her emotions were so naked on her face that people treated her like a powder keg. How naive could the boy be that he could not pick up on this?
私をバカ
You
に
know
してる
electricity too,
って
yeah.
わけじゃなさそうよね、この場合。
Even she found her own attempt to reassure herself unconvincing. It began to dawn on Alco far too late, that compared to her, this laid-back transfer student might as well have been from another planet.
いいわ。言葉にしないとわからないようだから言うけど、あなたの気のせいじゃなくて、私は視線で遠回しに感情を表現してたの。いちいち声に出すのも、会話にするのも面倒だから。
She said, I'll be straightforward with you. In response to her words, the Martian clapped his hands together.
なるほど。どうしてそうしたいのかはわからないが、確かにそっちの方が手っ取り早い意思表現だ。
Sojo accepted her reasoning without argument, though he still had no idea what kind of emotion she was trying to express. It was as if he could hear the words but didn't grasp the meaning. Ideas that should have connected were instead separated into blocks.
確かにずれてるわ、こいつ。
Peculiar indeed. Mr. Yamashiro's words made sense to her now. Chapter 1 Character Development. What was odd about this boy went way beyond naivety. The stranger in a strange place he may be, but was only civilized to forgive him some jet lag-induced confusion.
じゃ、とりあえずあなたの教室に行くから。
She had regained her composure. Sujiro raised his hand and stopped in his tracks.
あと一つ。
Akko waited for Sojiro to continue. The boy was patient to a fault. She rubbed her forehead with her hand again, nursing a vague feeling of uneasiness.
これもちょっとした疑問なんだが、なんで君は怒ってるんだ？怒るのが商売とか、そういう家柄の人なのか？
Why you have to say it like that, man? Yo, Sojiro, man, stop. Is it your line of business? Is this running your family? Yo. A long silence. Though she knew it wouldn't change the situation, she remembered her regret at answering the phone that morning. He meant no harm. Yeah, I think he doesn't mean no harm. He's being so genuine. But it's coming across as like sarcasm in a way. She repeated this thought like a mantra in an attempt to keep her impulses in check. Is it your business?
別にあなたのせいじゃないから気にする必要はないわ。ただ、この一瞬とお昼まで眠っていた場合を計りにかけたら、あまりに利益の違いがあって頭を抱えただけよ。
Yeah. With that vague answer, she started to walk again, and turned her gaze away from this rude stranger named Sojiro Suzuki. While what constitutes normal is certainly up for debate, most would undoubtedly refer to him as so. He was a simple and nice boy with nondescript features. As if he were an ice cream flavor, he would be vanilla. Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's what I mean. I definitely would have been a roast if he would be intentional, if he was trying to be like that. But and Sojiro found Elka to be very businesslike and full of life. There's a certain purpose to her movements as they began and ended in an orderly fashion. The way her fingers raised when she pointed at things. The way she made her way across the hallways and classrooms. The way she would occasionally glance back at him to make sure he was keeping pace. Each and every movement was so impressive that he couldn't take his eyes off her. He's interested though. Akko showed him to his homeroom. Class C of 11th grade. The room certainly displayed more of a human touch than the previous meeting room, but Sojiro was none the wiser as to its function. Akko gave him a brief explanation before they visited individual subject rooms, and I thought my thing screen lagged. As well as Jim, yeah, okay, she's giving him the whole tour of the whole school. Sojiro asked so many questions that much time passed before they reached the aviary room on the second floor.
まずいな。
Oh dear. Where? Okay, Soshiro stopped, looking genuinely concerned.
あと20分経つと1時だ。
20 to 1 already.
嘘でしょ。うちの校舎そんな広くないわよ。
The tour began around 10. And the 3 hours had passed? You're kidding me? This school isn't that big. Huh? Give me a 3-hour tour. What? Dang, how big is the school? A tour of the school shouldn't take anywhere near this long.
そうだったわね。行く先々で根掘り
Oh,
葉掘
he
り
was
聞かれ
asking a lot of
ちゃ
questions. Okay,
そり
so
ゃ
it's
何
his
時間
fault.
でも経つわ。
Are you good, Soshiro? Is there something wrong if you don't get back home by 1 or something? Like, you like covering your stomach, like. Alco glared at Soshiro. She was being sarcastic, of course, knowing full well he would never pick up on it. Is he? To his surprise, he looked down apologetically, unable to hide his dejection.
なんだこいつ。ちゃんとして
そう
じゃん。
The guy before was now nothing like earlier. In contrast to seeing his once impenetrable veneer when they first met, she found herself feeling sympathetic. Momentarily, at least, until her irritation returned in full force.
で、何がまずいの？覚えることが多すぎてパンクしたなんて言わないでね。
Then she's laying it on him.
いや、それもあるけど、学校のことは別にして、1時になるとまずいんだ。
Huh? Sojuro's gaze wandered as if worried about something. Oh, what's going on, dude? If he was worried about the weather, he would have a hard time seeing it as there were no windows in this hallway.
へえ、時間を気にするってことは用事があるのね。そう。人の予定を引っかき回しておいて、自分だけ好きなようにやろうって言うんだ。
I mean...
なんだ、顔に似合わずいい人ね、君。
いや、褒めても何も出ないぞ。
Yeah, so Alco, you can't be sarcastic to him. You can't. It's not gonna work.
誰も褒めちゃいないわよ。
It's like, oh, thank you for that. Yo. She yelled at him, unable to hold back her fury.
で、
で、
それで、一体何の用なの？
Yeah, what's going on? So Druid's face lit up as he finally understood what she was asking him.
そこは秘密にしておきたい。
Oh, I guess that's fair. It's none of her business. None of our business, you know. He said with a perfectly straight face.
慣れ始めたつもりだったけど、こいつのこういったテンポには失神しそうになるわ。
Her frustration was natural, so she did everything she could to strive her feelings and fake a smile.
しずきくん？
She took a step forward.
秘密だってば。
Oh, maybe it's a secret. Feeling the mood change drastically, Sojiro took a step back. And another and another. No matter how many steps he took back, she kept edging towards him. She was smiling, but he thought he could see the blood boiling beneath her skin.
これ、最後の質問にしとくわね。あなた、私をからかって楽しい？
Okay. He had no intention of mocking her, though at this point he doubted presenting any evidence to prove this would do much to erase that forced smile on her face.
わかった。説明する。
Let me explain. His arms raised in surrender. She halted in her advance and freed her face from that unseemingly smile.
実は1時からアルバイトがあるんだ。
Oh!
でもここはそういうの禁止なんだろ？
そうだけど、あ、禁止されてるから秘密にしようと思ったの？バカね。それなら許可さえ下りていれば問題ないわよ。
Dweeb? I've not read that insult in a while.
知ってる。試験の時に許可をもらってる。
Oh.
へえ。
Alka's face lit up as she realized he might not be the piece of work she thought him to be. Yeah, he's pretty... He knows his thing.
許可は一つしかもらえなかった。
Oh. He has 2 jobs.
一つって、あな、
これでも2件減らしたんだ。
Huh?
生活費だけで大変なのに学費まで稼がなくちゃいけない。なのに働き先は一つだけというのはあんまりだと思わないか。
I mean, yeah,
あ
to
んま
be
り
fair,
なのはあなたの方だと思う
she's
け
the one
ど。
who's being unreasonable. Though still irritated, her opinion of him changed a little. Okay. As we progress, we're going to probably see these two get closer and closer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dweeb. I haven't seen that word in forever. The fact that they use that word in this. She was impressed that he was able to take care of his tuition and living expenses all on his own. She could also empathize. It does give off Cartoon Network like cartoon. She could also empathize with having no time on oneself. Her anger began to subside. The words part-time job were about the last thing she ever expected to hear out of this country boy's mouth.
そういうことなら仕方ないわね。
Well, all you gotta do... you gotta do what you gotta do, yeah.
いいわ、行きなさいよ。事情は分かったから。
青崎はいいのか？
Will you be okay? She's like, hey, I can leave when you leave. She had no idea what his question meant, but she at least understood he was trying to be considerate, which also took her by surprise. She figured she'd be just as dense about people's feelings as he was about everything else.
別に、私もこのまま帰るから。
Though first she thought it best that they both stopped by the faculty room. Mr. Yamashiro had mentioned that the transfer procedures had already been completed, so all that remained was for him to sign off on her duties.
先生、案内終わりました。
それはお疲れ様。しずきくんもお疲れ様。それで校舎を回った感想はどうかな？
ありがとうございます。なんというか、
It's like a real
とても
school.
学校ですね。
This dude. Well, it is a
そう
real
かそうか。
school.
うん、明日から頑張りなさい。
She had no interest whatsoever in this pointless wrap-up meeting.
山城先生のことは気にしないでいいわ。教え子に厄介なことを押し付けてふんぞり返っているぐらい職員室が好きなんだから。何時間でも待ってるでしょ。いえ、待ってるべきじゃない？
That is smart to be on his
そうか。
side.
青崎がいいんならいいんだな。
Sojiro, man, I like you, dude. You're such. I can't hate him as a character, you know. There it is. There it is. There it was again. Whatever Sojiro was getting at, Alko had no idea. I don't know what past me's response to this whole storyline was. It'd be interesting going back to check out my previous play of this
今日だけよ。
from
今
like
日だけ。
4 years ago. She shooed him away with her hand. His face bent into a broad smile, as if he found the gesture endearing. It was a softer expression than she had grown accustomed to seeing out of him. It was the kind of smile that would make anyone smile back. Well, most people at least. Akko didn't betray the slightest hint of a smile.
それじゃあまた。
Yeah, see you later.
Huh?
With that friendly farewell, Sojiro walked toward the end of this hallway. Or so she thought before he turned to the next classroom over. Sojiro headed straight for one of the classroom windows, whereupon he opened it with ease. The chilly November air filled the room as the soft sounds of the rain doubled in volume. In that instant, she realized his intention was opening the window. She really wished she hadn't.
いや、待て待て待て
Yo, Sojiro, man, chill, dude. What are you? He already had one leg out the window as she dashed to stop him.
何するつもりよ、あんたは。
何ってアルバイトに行くんだけど。
その窓は人が出入りするところじゃないの。
Yes. Okay, how did he enter the building? Let's go back and talk about it. How did he get into the building? Did he jump through a window?
だいたいここ何階だと思ってるの？
She saw the light of understanding dawn in his eyes.
死ぬところだった。2階から降りたら危なすぎる。
Sojiro, man, don't make me take back my compliments to you, dude. Man, you really are out there.
あんたの頭。
Her insults went right over his head.
あのね、こっちじゃ窓から人は出入りしないの。さっき言っとくべきだったわ。
Yeah, for real.
知ってるよ。時間がないんで慌ててたんだ。ありがとう。これからは気をつける。
He has this. He always has that smile on his face, man. I can't with Sojiro. He cracks me up. He pulled his leg back inside and closed the window. Yeah, he might be a little out. He's out there. He's out there. His school uniform was soaking wet from the rain.
いいけど、私は別に。あなたがどこから外に出ようが関係ないもの。それより、あなた、本当に明日から学校に来るの？
来るよ。不安だけど、案内してもらったし。
Okay, I kind of figured that's why. He bid farewell before running down the hallway. Oh, it's so true, man. She hoped he would walk down the stairs and leave through the school entrance like a normal person.
大丈夫なのか？あんなんで。
The image of him disappearing into the distance popped into her head, in spite of her ire. She had no intention of spending any more time with him, and yet she felt strangely anxious. She couldn't tell if the feeling was fueled by concern or irritation. Why had she gotten so angry with this insignificant transfer student in the first place? A strange day with a strange transfer student resulting in strange emotions. Her head tilted as she reflected on what should have been a more enjoyable day than the irritating experience she had just experienced?
いっか。
She just had. Oh, I read that weird. My bad. Your cons. Yeah, he's just happy. He's just happy to be here.
どうせこれっきりなんだし。
Oh man, it's not as if I'll see him again. Alko, don't say that. You're jinxing it. The sound of the rain echoed quietly all around her. The gray sky seemed frozen in time. It was impossible to discern whether it was morning or evening. Mr. Yamashiro and Alko were likely the only ones left at school. The unlit classroom looked overly gloomy and ominous as Alko stood in it alone. She pulled up her left sleeve. Her dainty, unremarkable watch showed that it was almost 1 o'clock.
時間合ってる。
He has a good sense of time. He didn't have a watch. She looked out the window at the grounds below. She saw a boy in uniform running through the rain without an umbrella, a sight she must have seen before, but for whatever reason, affected her far more than she wished. Ako did not stop by the faculty room before heading home. While Mr. Yamashiro offered to drive her home, she was tempted. Home was tempting. She decided it would ultimately be far more satisfying to ruin his day just as she had hers. She walked as quietly as she could towards the entrance and opened her bright red umbrella. Yeah, that's telling him. Yeah, tell him I'll walk on my own. I'll get back at him. As she had predicted that morning, the rain was waning in the afternoon. At this rate, it would probably cease completely in 1 hour or so. The distant sunshine would likely have reached her by the time she arrived home.
ま、それも悪くないか。
She shrugged her shoulders in resignation. She neither liked nor disliked rain, but she found herself enjoying her walk home with her red umbrella in hand. Okay, the teachers at Misaki High School weren't fond of bright colors, so Alko's red umbrella was an unusual sight. Really? A ghost story about how the umbrella was once pure white had been making rounds, but it featured Alko instead of a ghost. It was with that umbrella that she had made her way towards Misaki Station. Misaki Private High School took its namesake from the town it was in. Misaki Town, okay. The rain area was once a sprawl of farmland and woodland, but rapidly growth over the last 10 years had led to unprecedented modernization. There were some who fought to preserve Misaki's natural treasures.
残すことには賛成ですが、それでは残すだけになってしまうでしょう。
Okay. With those words, the mayor snuffed out the voices of the minority and ushered in a long-term plan for the new urban development. If I'm not mistaken, they changed... I'm not sure if it's the same... Oh, okay. Threw me off outside. I'm not sure if it's the same town name they used. Because I know the remake, they changed the town name, I think. I think it's a different town name. I could be wrong, but... than the original. More than enough funds for the urban development were collected, and the unassuming town of Misaki became the largest municipal of Misaki City in merely 10 years. Maybe that was with Tsukihime. I remember they changed something with the name of a city or town. But, okay, even though it lacked the modernity of neighboring Yashirogi, or the elegance of Misaki Hills.
それも当然よね。どういじくっても、もともとが山中の宿場町だし、山ごと切り崩すって言うんなら別だけど。
Urbanization had been contained to the lowlands around the station, with most of the hills and mountains still standing as they did 10 years prior. The exhaustion of funds succeeding in protecting the old Misaki where the citizens could not. It became a truly odd suburban town, welcoming an increasingly urban population with its vestiges of old country charms. Misaki High School was a private school established long before the town's current state. The original campus, built 50 years ago, was located high up in the mountains, making its current location its second incarnation. So established long before the town's current state. Okay. The path to the old grounds was not only steep and remote, it had become an overgrown game trail with the passage of time. For these reasons, among others, Misaki High School had been shuttered almost 20 years when it received a donation from a department store chain that allowed for the construction of a new campus in the city. And thus Misaki High School reopened its doors, the old woodland campus forgotten. I wonder if we're going to circle back to that down the line. It must be important to bringing that up. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's definitely I'm pretty sure it's relevant to some parts of the story. Otherwise, they wouldn't just bring it. Otherwise, it's world building, I guess. But in fact, most of the students attending Misaki High School were not from Misaki at all. The hardy, rustic people of this country town preferred prefectural schools to private ones. Okay, that's interesting, considering that they made the high school a private one. We know her roommate goes to a religious school or something, so... Truth be told, Alko herself was one of them. All she had wanted after junior high was to move to Tokyo, where she hoped to spend her days touring her favorite brands on her way to entering a public university. Really? But her hopes were dashed with her sister's departure. So here she was, walking alone in town with only a red umbrella to keep her company on what should have been a day off. Okay, her sister's departure. Pretty sure that's also important. We also get feeling world, yeah, that too. It's like my whole life had been one disaster after another. Things not going according to how she wanted them. Her frustration evaporated into the cold December air. Not true. With those words, her mood brightened a bit as she left the school in her wake. It's a nice little view, though. Oh man, these bees, get away from my window. Don't come in here. Okay, the busier part of the town met her with at the bottom of the gently sloping road. I'm over here putting my fist up like I'm gonna punch the bee, like hand-to-hand combat. Oh man. I believe it's her sister that left home. But she said departure, but that could be interpreted as dead. But I think she's alive. Misaki's train station was brand new. Once looking no prettier than abandoned, because I know her sister does pop up in other Type Moon projects, so then again, no, Natsuverse, it's not all together, so once looking no prettier than it's together but not together. Was looking no prettier than an abandoned factory. It had been renovated into a multi-purpose structure with huge department stores in its east and west sides. But yeah, I think she is alive in this medium. When the department stores first opened, Ako and her friends had been impressed with their modern feel, but in time, the stores too became dated. She had no shopping to do today, so she passed by them. What she really wanted to do was rest at a cafe, but she fought the urge knowing her roommate would never let her hear the end of it as she frittered away her money. Huh? She looked back and blinked. For just a moment, she could have sworn she had seen someone suspicious in a red dress out of the corner of her eye. Tone shift? It must have been her imagination. The sixth sense chill she was experiencing down her spine was familiar at this... this beeping is... eerie. She continued her walk home, brushing off the event as if it had never happened. In time, the chill faded, and all that was left was the sounds of the town. She sighed heavily. Had she imagined it? Even if it had all been in her head, she was far from comfortable with the feeling that still lingered.
夏場の方ってもう少しこう
Yeah, in red. A red dress. She grumbled under her breath.
波乱万丈、商売繁盛、諸行無常。
Hey, Alko, don't go saying some sayings right
そう
now.
忙しさに愚痴を言っても始まらないわ。
Unfortunately, summer and bugs go hand in hand. She could see how bugs could be drawn to all this. Why am I on edge now? Got me a little spooked. Not gonna lie. Alright, here we go. Okay, some good music. There we go. About to say, man, you got me a little scared. For real. Rank with grease and heat, the kitchen was closed for the time being. The lunch rush had come and gone. But one last battle remained, dinner time. Only this evening chaos could the kitchen crew move their white armor and call it a day. In the midst of the war zone was a lone newcomer.
これ着るんですか?
Hey, okay, so he's working at a restaurant? His voice was uneasy, betraying how new he was.
気持ちはわかる。俺もどうかと思うけど、店長の言うことだから、もう笑顔で乗り越えてくれ。これも商店街の明日のためなんだとよ。本気で申し訳ないんだが、雨も止んだし、なんとか行ってきてくれないか。無事帰ってきたら晩飯おごってやっから。
I'll hold you to that. You better buy me dinner. His bright orange co-worker clasped his hands together as if to beg for forgiveness as he saddled him with this unreasonable task. Yeah, rom-com, horror, rom-com. We're jumping genres, y'all. 10 years ago, Misaki City was a town of farm and woodland. Man, we went back to, we're in slice of life territory. But everything had changed. The front of the station was now lined with tall, multi-story buildings, and the residential areas were similarly full of apartment complexes. The once rustic scenery around the station had long become a thing of the past. Shiro Induzuka was the only place in the city that still contained vestiges of the town, a pocket of the past inside an urban jungle. The road extended up to a conspicuously high hill, to an old residual district far from the hustle and bustle of the train station. Long ago, it had been considered unwise to build on high ground, so nobody lived above a certain elevation. The assault continued for some time. Eventually giving way to a mountain road that was swallowed into the cover of trees. A lone vending machine stood to mark the boundary between mountain and beyond. Even the children knew that there was nothing beyond this new playground in development that so enthralled them. Well, that was not entirely true. There's nothing besides the haunted house. The house on the hill. Aoko Aozaki traversed the long slope. Below her, she could see the whole of Misaki. The symmetrical town looked like a miniature set from this height. Oh my gosh, they are barking again. I was like, are they barking? Oh, okay. It would look like a painting if there had been a sea next to it, but unfortunately Misaki City was very much landlocked. While it was overcast at the moment, the scene was quite breathtaking on clear evenings. The view was the only thing that made the arduous climb worthwhile, and today she had been denied even that.
雨の日は自転車も使えないし、1日に2回ぐらいバスでも通ってくれないもんかな、ほんと。
Ako had been using this road to get to school for almost 2 years now, but the journey had never gotten easier. 2 years now. Huh.
あれ、鍵閉まったの？
Oh, the gate's locked.
アリス、まだ帰ってきてないんだ。
With a weary shrug, she put her hand on the rusty old iron fence. Quietly, the heavy gate swung open as if to welcome her home. There sits atop that hill a haunted house. That's how the story of much shared around town used to begin. Okay. Oh, she has a haunted house. Oh, I love this song. But fresh rumors about the house has sprung to life almost as fast as the town's modernization. Despite being dilapidated and abandoned for many years, lights can be seen inside the house at night. An angry murder of crows often gathers atop the hill before mysteriously vanishing. Children get lost in the fog, never to be seen again. No, Alice is not her sister. Is her roommate, the one who goes to the religious school. I think she said she goes to a religious school. Late at night, a shrieking sound can be heard all the way to town. This particular piece of slander that was one Aoko wished to discredit the most. The final rumor was an eye-catching luxury car that sometimes made its way up and down the hill. We haven't seen Alice yet, though. We haven't seen her yet, though. Only word of mouth from Aoko. The rumor spread and grew by the day. And while they grew, the house that everyone thought had rotted away was restored over the recent years. This past year took 2 years for the past 2 years, so that was restored up before then. Okay, deep in the wood on top of a hill no one dared to approach. Like a ruin shrouded from view, even on the brightest of days, stood a relic at a time, a building from a fairy tale. The house. It's a nice looking house, though. Hold on, let me look at this. What's it called? The Kunji Mansion. Okay, so this is. Because I know Alice's last name is Kunji. Kunji? So this is her family's mansion. It's nice, though. A lot of... Okay, I think they just need to clean up the little shrubs in front. I mean, it's winter time, so who cares about that? You know, snow's about to pile that up. Okay, what's it, 2 floors? Okay, long hallway. Dang, it goes a little farther down, too. A little wide. Interesting. I like the design on it. Okay. Everyone in town knew about the witch's house and the hill. I like that little thing on the top right there. Does my mouse pop up on screen? No. Why would it? I'm on console. Okay. It was unabashedly haunted house where Aoko Aozaki resided for reasons known only to her. Needless to say, it was not really haunted. The Kounji family home was a grand Western-style mansion with a long and storied history, stretching all the way back to England. Really? It was too small to be a dormitory, yet too big to be called a house. The main building contained as many as 3 normal houses worth of rooms and was surrounded by a large, all-encompassing courtyard. The perimeter of the grounds was surrounded by a high iron fence covered in thorny vines. There was also an annex to the main building. Given such extravagance, it was no wonder that it inspired rumors. In the town residents, the mere existence of such a lavish and out-of-place mansion on top of the hill was a cause for suspicion. Rumors, lies, and slander were the prices to be paid for its fame. With only 2 lodgers, it was hard to disagree with the perception that vampires must be living here.
ま、私はともかく、アリスはそういうのにかねないし。
Is Alice a vampire? I don't think she is. Maybe she has ties to something. She put her hand on the front door. It was a grand double door that would have paired well with the brass lock, and yet it was secured with more than a simple keyhole. Alice isn't a vampire. She's not. As far as I know. Pushing it open with one hand, she entered the supposedly haunted house. By the way, if vampires were not enough to scare you, ghosts were known to appear on certain nights. Ooh, shiver me timbers. Like, oh, that's a little visual right there, a little graphic, okay. Much like the weather outside, the foyer was overcast with shades of gray. Perhaps by deliberate design, the architect had chosen not to include any lights in the entrance area. The ceiling was 2 floors high. The only light in the room came from the skylight. It was particularly gloomy on rainy days. On moonless nights, it was like the world itself ceased to be. Ako decided the drawing room to the east would be a good place to rest, but knowing that she would not be able to relax until she changed clothes, she started up the stairs. The stairs curled up the walls to the 2nd floor hall. There was a 3rd floor attic as well, accessible from the far end of the hall. She had never set foot in there in the 2 years she had lived there, though. The Kounji mansion was more or less divided by 2 things, east and west. Makes sense. Ako had given the entire east okay, so he has the whole entire east wing. But 2 rooms were more than enough as far as she was concerned. She had no desire to open a door that would trap you in a storybook world, or lead to an attic that had only been used for storage these last 5 years. Yeah, very European indeed. Ako's room was at the very end of the east wing's long corridor. She had elected for a smaller room for no other reasons than she thought it would be easier to clean. Hey, I have a small room. It's not easier to clean. I think I just have a storage problem, if anything. That was the extent for what she'd brought from home. Her entire life of 16 years reduced to this. She also borrowed the next room down for her own purposes.
そうだ。アリスにもらった見張りと壊れてないかチェックしないと。
The watchtower. She needed to see if the project she had been working on all night had borne fruit. The project, okay. The study next door served as proof of the life she had been living for the last year and how different the life was from the one she had lived before. It was not a room for the person she had been. It was a room for the person she would eventually become. A place of solitude that only she could enter. But so she thought.
うわ、壊れてるどころか跡形もなく消え去ってる。やっぱ自己流アレンジはまだ早かったか。いいわよ。笑いなさいよ、コマ撮り。
Robin, oh! The noisy neighbor that had intruded upon her sanctuary flew away. While not exceptionally talented, Ako did not lack for effort and was not afraid to fail. Hey, Robin. Hey. I'm looking forward to seeing more of you down the line. One could have almost mistaken her approach for optimism. Okay, some laid-back clothes. She changed out her uniform and returned to the first floor. Yeah, that sweater on. Ako got the fits. She changed out her uniform and returned to the first floor. Down the stairs, she opened the door to the east wing, into the corridor as dark as a cellar. The absence of windows meant it was pitch black without the lights on, so she flicked on the switch and entered the nearby doorway. Oh! Hey, I like me a good old Sany TV, y'all. Without... Oh, she's talking. Okay. It had been her idea to update the drawing room. The walls were decorated with extravagant patterns. Man, I remember my grandmother's house had patterns like this on the walls. The walls were decorated with extravagant patterns, and around the room were large, majestic sofas. And a luxurious Persian rug. Amidst it all was a 30-inch television that seemed completely out of the place. Yeah, those are ancient. Yeah, some ancient TVs. They even have a VCR player. It stood looking over the other furniture like the emperor with no clothes. The mansion's owner would have rather done without it. But to a commoner like Alco, it was an essential commodity. They had fought over its presence at first, but eventually came to an agreement and now mutually enjoyed its modern comfort. It is cozy. I like the rug.
なんだ、人のことは言えないか。うちも案外時代錯誤な家だった。
Now in a somewhat pleasant mood, she decided to brew some tea. She boiled some water in the kitchen, prepared the teapot, and made herself some black tea. With a flip, she sank into the sofa. She took a sip of her tea, then another. Oh man, that's a nice, beautiful sky. Despite it being rainy earlier. Lulled by the ticking of the clock, she took a third sip as she pondered how to spend her afternoon. The sofa almost seemed to be inviting her, and she sunk even further into its comforting embrace. And she fell asleep. Yeah, man, exactly. That was really detailed. Like, the art through this has been, especially the background art, has been really great. Ako blearily opened her eyes as she lifted her body up from the cushions. Hey! Alice, what's up? This was no dream or delusion. At some point, a girl had sat down across from her. Not the least bit surprised, she reached for her teacup. But the tea within had gone completely cold. It's dark out. There goes the afternoon. She was ready to chill. She asked the question to the girl on the other side of the table. The girl answered without lifting her gaze. Reading that little small book. Well, I like the music change too. When silent, she could have been mistaken for a beautiful doll. The girl sitting on the opposite sofa was reading an old book. She had delicate limbs and pale white skin. Not a hint of humanity eminent from her melancholy aura. She had darker hair than Alco, and her icy eyes were focused on the pages in front of her. Her clothes resembled that of a nun, but were actually her school uniform. Oh, okay. They did say she was to a religious school. In Ako's humble opinion, the gloominess suited her. She evoked something like out of a painting. There was something unreal about her, as if she were frozen in time. The white of her gently arched neck was so lovely that even Ako found herself enchanted by it. The girl was one of the haunted house's 2 residents. Her name was Alice Kuinji, and she was the same age as Ako. Okay.
私どれくらい寝てた？
Oh! Someone popped up on my screen. Okay, how long was I asleep?
1時間と少し。
This is an hour, okay.
ここで眠ると風邪ひくわよ。
Alice answered indifferently, not that bothered by Alco, who was now used to it. She looked at the clock on the wall and saw it was already 7. She had been asleep for 2 hours. It had been a rough one for her, and she had slept little that night before, so it was no surprise that she had dozed off for as long as she had.
起こしてくれてもよかったのに。
Yo, Janice, your team Alice? You could have woken me
せっ
up.
かくの紅茶が冷めちゃったじゃない。
私が来た時はもう冷めてたわ。
Alice is also
でしょうね。
voiced
言ってみ
by
ただけよ。
Kana Hanazawa Kana, if I'm not mistaken. Ako drank down the rest of the cold tea in one gulp. In the poorly heated Kunji mansion, that was more than enough to clear her head and wake
こう
up.
なるとフォートナム&メイソンも何もないわね。おかえりアリス。玉の贅沢もあんた抜きじゃ閉まらないってことかしら。今日は薬日か天中殺か。ちょっと早いけどお参りってのも十分ありかもね。
Ako shrugged her shoulders as if resigning herself to her fate.
それで何があったの？
After 2 years together, they knew each other well. Ako had one way of asking questions, and Alice had another. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they brought in some A-list, yeah. Yes, the legend herself. Alice asked without raising her head, and Alco gave her the details.
まず謝らなくちゃいけない。昨日徹夜で完成させた例のあれ、意味がなくなっちゃったのよ。ちょっと目を離した隙に沸騰しすぎて壊れちゃったみたい。そうならないよう循環のコードを 2,3 本外したり縫合したりしたんだけど。
Alco tried to laugh it off as if it was someone else's problem.
どういうこと？
Oh?
今朝休養が入って学校に呼び出し受けたの。
Yeah,
そこ
she
で
could
転
vent her
入生の世
frustrations to
話を押し
someone.
付けられて一日が無残にも消費されちゃって帰ってきたら跡形もなく消えてました。怒るアリス。
別に青子の器物破損にいちいち怒っていたら一生分の口論をすることになるでしょ。代用品はあるからまた一から始めればいいわ。それより怒ってるのはあなたの方じゃないの？
Alice was very much on point today. It was true that despite outward appearances, Alco was seething with frustration. That aside,
この転入生っていうのがひどくずれててね。すごい山奥で暮らしてたらしくて、こっちの常識が
he
通じないん
doesn't
だ
have
から。
common sense. That window thing, man.
関門以下って言葉があるけど、
Jump out the window.
あれって
It's
本
crazy.
当のことなのね、アリス。
Alice raised her head in response to hearing her name, but Alco kept going on before she could get a word in edgewise. Alco, after all, expected no sympathy in the first place.
初対面から尺に触るやつだったけど、教室を案内した時なんか失神しそうになったわ。そいつ教室で教師と1対1で授業を受けるもんだと思ってたらしいの。それはそれでまだ流せる。許容で、私が簡潔かつ丁寧に教室の何たるかを教えた後で、そいつなんて言ったと思う？
What Sojiro say?
それで青崎、他の教室は何に使うんだ？ですって。教室に他も何もないでしょ？ なんていうか、
Well, I
そい
mean,
つは少しでも説明を怠るとそのままで納得しちゃうのよ。
this is really
何も
long.
疑問に
Let's
思わ
go
ないと
over
いう
here.
か、想像力が欠如してるっていうか、想像することに慣れてないっていうか。
AI viewers. Okay, hold up. Let me fix this thing over on Twitch. Okay. It's like he was taking everything face value. Yeah, yeah.
まあ一度言ったことは
It
ち
is
ゃ
a
んと
long
分かっ
first
てるっぽい
chapter.
か
It is
ら
long.
バカってわけじゃないんだけど。
I was checking out my
あなたが
past
人を
stream
批評
from
す
a
るのは
couple years
珍しい
ago.
わね。
Well,
そういうだ
then
け
again, last year I think I did two chapters in one stream.
みじんたり
So
とも気に
I
しな
think
い
this
わ。
one it goes for at least I think it's
明
2 and
日
a
か
half
らどん
hours.
な
I
間違い
think.
をしでかすのか
Or 2 hours
ちょっと
20 minutes. Then again, you know, I'm chatting, so so it might be longer than that. I don't know, but wait, what did she say? I like. Is there a way to go back? Okay, whatever. She was really worried about having to clean up the mess if what happened. Is there a way to go back? Oh, okay, yeah, there is a button I could. Okay, what did she say? Which she was really worried about having. I couldn't let down to screw up somehow. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. I feel like something else I missed. Let's bound. I was just worried to screw up somehow. Okay. That had to be it. If not, it would mean she had no real reason, no real idea why she could not get him out of his head.
とにかく変なやつなの。案外アリスと気が合うかも。
三問一回はいい言葉ね。
Another world in the mountains doesn't sound so bad. But from her eyes, it was clear that the question of whether they would get along was irrelevant, given that they would never meet in the first place. Ako gave a non-committal response.
ところでアリス、さっきから何読んでるの？
霊的進化論の二次創作。スピリチュアルダイアリのまがいもの。
Spiritual diary.
ああ、スウェーデンボリー。そんなの今更読んでも仕方ないんじゃない？
新書なら退屈だけど、これは偽書だから。彼の欠点と長所を劇的に褒め上げている。よくできた冒険小説のようよ。立ちはだかる秘密組織の名前がカントとか気が利いているわ。筆跡は
Is that so?
あなたのおじいさんのものだけど。
Margin belongs to your grandfather. Oh.
へえ、あの人そういう趣味まであったんだ。割とユーモアがあったのね。
Okay, so her
惜し
grandfather
い
did
人を亡
pass
くした
away.
わ。
Ako seemed nostalgic over her now deceased grandfather.
あなたのおじいさん、夏に頼りをくれたけど。
Now deceased, so he contacted you last time, so it was recent then he passed away.
よしてよ、死んだものと考えたいのに。
Whereas ghosts contacted her? Ako sighed and laid back on the sofa. The soft cushions caved in under her weight.
話は戻るけど。
Alice shot a glance at Alco. Her body buried in the sofa remained as still as a corpse. It was clear Alco had tuned out of the conversation. Alice silently chastised her with a look. The more she thought about it, the less important the events of the day seemed to become. If she just ignored Alice, the conversation would end there. They would eventually get up and leave today's mistake unresolved for another day. However, that's not the kind of person Alco Aozaki
いいわ
was.
よ。何？
She has still lying down.
今日できなかったのは少し痛いわね。
だから反省してるって。学校優先は一人前になってからでしょ。
Okay, so she's trying to become a full-fledged mage.
ならいいけど。
The coldness in her voice made Ako gnash at her teeth. She knew what Alice wanted to say. She knew better than anyone. The veneer she wore for school was different than the way she lived at home. While it could be called hiding in plain sight, Alice thought it was silly. And what the silence told her was,
覚悟を決めろって言いたいのよね、あんたは。
either commit to this or commit to that. Well, I'm kind of getting the gist of. Today's failure was not a colossal one. She just happened to be upset to upset the delicate balance between her home and school lives, chasing one at the expense of the other. And yet that careless mistake was a clear sign of Aoko's lack of commitment.
アリスは関係ない。これは私が私で決めなくちゃいけないこと。
She had only known for sure the last year and a half, but she had a hunch for as long as she could remember. Make the choice, and the day will come. As it was a little wonder that her moral and conscience had been stripped away. Aoko pushed herself back up. She was met by Alice's cold beauty and wordless gaze.
オッケー、アリス。来週中に決着をつけよう。それでいいんでしょ？
ええ、青子がいいなら。
Okay, we'll do it next week. Aoko could not help but shake her head, feeling like she was hearing something familiar for the second time that day. Even the comfort of her own, she couldn't bash the thoughts of that country boy from her mind.
じゃあ、下準備はよろしくね。私まだできないし。
場所は例の公園でいい？
At the park.
妥当な線ね。あ、でももう一件の方は？そっちの方が急務じゃない？
I think I kind of remember what happens after this.
時と場合。
Briefly. I know that I don't remember the context for it though. After that brief exchange, Alice returned her attention to the book on her lap. Shop talk was over. Now they could return to their normal relationship as roommates. Aoko grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. Since Alice was busy reading, Aoko decided to tune in to a variety show that she had planned. Alice started to speak, but suddenly cut herself off. One of her delicate hands raised to her mouth. She would always cut herself off the second she realized she was about to say something trivial. Sometimes her self-restraint would hit too late, and she would make a gesture like the one she was making now. It occurred to Aoko that the ah sound with her cute little roommate just now was different than the wah she blurted at in times past.
何？
Aoko turned down the volume on the TV. Her intense eyes lit up as like those of a mischievous cat.
どうということはないんだけど。
ないんだけど？
But what? Alice looked away bashfully, not knowing if she should bring it up or not. It was times like these that her expression carried a real warmth and surprising charm. But she could see her in the moment. Alice's father would have to admit that her name suited her perfectly. Yeah, she really over here being different than earlier, more expressive.
帰ってくるときおかしなものを見て、
Oh,
誰か
something
に話
strange.
そうと思っていたんだけど。
Aoko nodded, beckoning her to continue.
つまらない。本当に意味のないことよ。けど、どう考えてもそんなことをする理由がわからない。
I think it actually has, from what I remember, I know it has more than 10. To be honest, I think it has. I said 15 earlier, but I think it's less than that. I think it's 13 maybe. Yeah, it's a lengthy one, semi-lengthy compared to other visual
人間
novels.
ぐらいの大きな猫が
Maybe it's
ひょこ
average
ひょこ
length.
出
I
前
don't
を
know.
する理由ってわかる？
Almost knocked over my fan. But I know it's 15 chapters. Or around there. 13, 15. More than 10. For a second, Aoko thought Alice was trying to fail him miserably joke again. Wait, what did she say? It's silly, really. Do you have any idea why a man-sized cat would be riding around town? We're talking about Sojiro? I think it's 14. But I know there are a few, like, half chapters, like a 1.5 or something. I mean, are those really, if we want to include those? But, so I think it's 14? Okay. We know it's more than 10. She seemed completely serious. Even if Alice's sense of humor fell flat for Aoko, the story already sounded more fanciful than Alice's usual attempt at jokes. Aoko concluded that her roommate was talking about something she had actually seen.
その話には2つぐらい信じがたい部分があるけど。
She's like, yo, let's break this down. We talking about a big old
私も
man
からくり
cat.
ぐらいは思いつくから。ただ、理由がわからないから聞いてるの。 わざわざ精巧な猫のぬいぐるみを着て出前の店員
Oh, is it like the mascot for the restaurant?
そんなに簡単かしらね。
If so, I want to see that. I gotta see Sojiro doing
難易
that.
度以前にそれをやる人間の常識性を疑うけどね、私は。
Alice nodded attentively at her words.
まあ世の中いろいろあるから、私たちみたいなのもいれば、下界から遮断された山奥で暮らしていたやつまで10人といるよ。私だったら見かけたら声かけて理由を尋ねただろうけど。
Well, so bold of you. Alice's gaze drifted at that.
暮れゆく住宅街にさまよう出前猫か。
There's some Ghibli stuff.
で、今日の夕飯どうする？せっかく話が出たし、私らもてんやものにしようか。
Akko loved getting takeout, and her face glowed as she spoke. They had no hard rules for dinner, but if one of them was in the mood to cook, they made it a point to make enough for two. It's fair. At the very worst, this meant entire weeks without dinner, but the two of them agreed that this was the system that worked best for them. Whether they found cooking to be too much effort or simply liked ordering out, nights like this one were a common occurrence, much to the chagrin of the restaurants in Misaki Town. Delivering to the mansion meant coming all the way up to the top of this hill.
時間は8時前。ギリギリセーフね。私今月がいいな。あそこの月見そば最近ご
Make
無
me
沙汰だっ
hungry. I
た
haven't
し。
eaten yet, so. The hungry student council president laid out a stack of takeout menus like she might fan a deck of cards and excitedly scanned for anything that stood out. Alice casually responded without sparing much of a glance.
悪いけど、私夕飯済んでるの。
Oh! With those words, Akko froze. All deliveries requires a minimum of 2 items, so she was out of luck without an accomplice. Oh man. Cruel Society had decided it couldn't be bothered to deliver to a princess who only ordered a single serving of food. Incidentally, to counteract orders from the Hilltop Mansion, like that they point to where it's at. Okay, the restaurants had declared the minimum number of orders would be 3 starting next year. Akko and Alice were still in the dark to this fiendish change, and that's messed up.
この裏切り者だから帰ってくるのが遅かったのね。帰宅部、学校までバス徒歩込みで片道20分のあんたがなんで5時以降に帰ってくんのか考えるべきだったわ。
Yeah, she did show up late. Unfortunately for Akko, she had been too out of it to even remember that she was the one who'd fallen asleep.
ああ、ひどい女。そういう時は残された一人のためにお土産買ってくるのが暗黙の了解だったのに、私だってこの前の外食の時はアリスの分も買ってきたじゃない。
It was unknown how serious Akko was being, but she was visibly angry. She had already woken up hungry that morning. From the time she was called into school until now, she had consumed nothing but tea. It was a small miracle that her stomach had not grown. Man. She knew it was her fault, yet persisted. The George Gate's getting crazy, yes.
この前ってあれのこと？
By last time you
あなた
mean...
が都心に出向いた時、夕食にお寿司を食べてきたのに、お土産はなぜかコンビニエンスストアのビニール
You
袋
know,
だ
Alice has you timed. Akko, she had some notes. Akko had kicked the hornet's nest.
何よ、買ってこないよりはマシでしょ。
真実は時に隠蔽すべきね。
Well, this is a losing fight on both sides. Well, most on your side, Akko. You don't have food. She already ate. Alice's icy gaze peers right through her. Akko had certainly crossed the line by going on and on about the sushi circled around the restaurant, while Alice ate her convenience store meal. That is messed up. When new things fascinated her, and she couldn't contain her curiosity towards the conveyor belt sushi shops that started popping up all the time. They were nothing short of miraculous. Even honesty can be a sin, given the right circumstances.
わかった。わかりました。じゃあ今回のは前のと帳消しってことでいいわね。
I also went back to her book without so much as recognizing the question. The fact that she did not confirm it made Aoko anxious.
仕方ない。今日は薬味だし、おとなしく台所に立って料理の腕を磨くとしましょう。
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you could have some leftovers. Save it for tomorrow. She stood up, announcing her intent to no one in particular.
あ、聞き忘れてた。アリス、どこで夕食済ませたの？
Alice's hand froze on her current page. She suddenly shut the book she was reading and stood up as if at wit's end. She walked across the drawing room with her book in hand. When she reached the door, she stopped and turned towards Aoko.
聞きたい。
Why? Why so mysterious?
まあ、
Building it up.
なんとなく。
She nodded timidly, cowed by Alice's sudden vigor. Alice continued in her matter-of-fact way.
その猫が余ったメニューをくれたのよ。
So she got free food. And with that brief response, she left the room. Hey, so that's the first chapter? Save. Okay, this is last year's save data. Dang, 2023? Whoa, yeah, I haven't played it since then, definitely. Okay, let's put it on the second line. We'll go third line. Save this data? Yeah, that's why I clicked save. Okay, now this is where we leave off right here. So when did I do this chapter? November 30th? Okay. Interesting. Okay. For now, we will head... Wait, my head's like blocking this. I can't even see. Yeah, first chapter ended on a cliffhanger. Okay, next episode. Okay, we're headed off right here, y'all. Oh, it doesn't know the save anyways. Nice little start. First chapter. Getting things situated. Meaning Aoko Awazaki. I don't like being in the middle of the screen now. Okay, meaning Aoko Awazaki, Alice Kunjo, Sojiro. We met the teacher, Cicero, I think his name, whatever his name is. I don't know how important he's going to be for the storyline, even though he seems a little. I don't know with these storylines. The teacher, he looks a little sketchy, but maybe he could be no important. We know that Aoko and Alice are working on a project. We know that. Aoko trying to become a full-fledged mage. She's balancing school life and her becoming a mage life. Sojiro has a mysterious past. A mysterious character in total. Like, we don't know what's going on with the mountains. We don't know anything about the city life, but interesting stuff. What's extra? Oh, okay. CG mode. Okay, I won't click on that. Let's search for a bookmark. If I click this, I guess I could go right there. Okay, and if I click continue, I think it's going to continue from where I left off. But overall, first chapter was really great. How long was this? About an hour 20? Okay, about how I expected. Thank you for tuning in for this. This is a nice little chapter, nice start for this. Yeah, Aoko's definitely falling for Sojiro a little bit. Or we see some chemistry. We see a little bit something going on there. We'll see what happens. It would be interesting if they did his with a curveball. Maybe it might be Sojiro and Alice. Let me stop. If that happens, then that would be a big twist in the storyline. But I could see Aoko and Sojiro definitely getting together or something like that. Yeah, Sojiro, he was vibing this whole chapter, so looking forward to next chapter. I'll probably start streaming this on Monday. I wanted to actually stream this earlier this week, but I had a busy few days. So I'll see. I probably aim for Mondays will be mainly my stream days for this. I'll see if I do Wednesdays and Mondays. I'll see what I get going on. Tomorrow I'm streaming some art nights, and on Friday we'll have our usual Fate Go Fridays. So yeah, trying to set up a stream schedule as we're entering my stream renaissance era on the channel. I know that I did say I wanted to do some anime stuff too. Probably on Twitch. I might do maybe Sunday. I'll do just stream a bunch of anime on Twitch, just watch some stuff, chill, hang out. Maybe I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe doing that. I'll see what I feel like doing. Maybe. But anyways, now we're getting Mihoyo Mondays going. today was just a Wednesday exclusive thing. Yeah, Mihoyo Mondays, definitely Mihoyo Mondays. That's what I want to do. But yeah. Are you gonna do it? Yes, Stronghold stream. Almost forgot. Yeah, I'll probably get a Stronghold stream. I want to get one in, definitely. Maybe I might do that Saturday if I get time to do that. Because I know I did say I wanted to do that. And so I've just been so busy. Busy. It's been my concert season. I've had like concerts left and right almost every other weekend and rehearsals. So yeah, I had my last concert this past Sunday, but now I have another concert coming up. So I have like a week of free time where I'm a little bit more flexible, so I definitely want to get one in. Definitely got to get Stronghold streaming before it ends. I think it ends next week, right? So yeah, I definitely try and get a stream in between there. Maybe Saturday or Sunday I'll aim for a stream of that. I know we have the current event right now too coming up tomorrow. So in between there, yeah, I do want to get one in. Let me say, I'll aim for it. I don't want to promise a stream, but I'll definitely aim to get a stream going. So, a concert. Yes, I'm a. If everyone doesn't know, I'm a drummer. So I play with different groups and stuff. So, so yeah, I do perform. So I've been busy with that mainly. I'm quite popular, I guess. I do one group, and someone's like, hey, are you available for this? I'm like, sure, I don't mind. So yeah, I've been busy with that on the side, my little side gig thing I have going on. So I've been having fun with that. It's been a lot of fun. The last concert went really good. Had a good turnout. So yeah, I already have another concert lined up for July. Actually, I have one in June. Yeah, that's why I said the one coming up. So I have like a week of free time until we start rehearsals, so I'm busy. I'm a busy person. Then I got work, got concert stuff. try to balance everything out. So, but yeah, I have fun with that. I have a lot of fun with that. So, yeah, a lot of time management. But yeah. Anyways, see you later. I gotta eat something. So have yourselves a nice rest of the day. Stay cool. I don't know how hot it is where you're at. I'm burning up in here. It is 80 degrees today, so it's not as hot as it was yesterday. Yesterday was 90 something, so I never knew that. So yeah, I'm a busy person. Yeah. If I never mentioned that before, I don't think I've mentioned it. Maybe mentioned it a while ago, but yeah, I've been busy with music stuff. So yeah, maybe I'll record some stuff and I'll show y'all at one point. But yeah, anyways, I'm ending right here. See y'all later. Have a nice day. We'll be back Monday for this. See you tomorrow. Arc Nights, Friday, Fate Grand Order. Hopefully I get some Stronghold this weekend. I'll try to aim for that. But we'll see what happens. Anyways, that's all. Peace and out. I'm hungry.